Hi, I'm Reverend Paula Skiles with Unity Church of San Marcos. It was once calculated that if English explorer Robert Falcon Scott and his team had taken just 11 more steps each day on their 800-mile slog onto the South Pole, they would have survived. Captain Scott made a note in his diary of team member Oates's last words. "I'm just going outside, and may be some time." He never came back. With the blizzard raging outside, the men that were left could see no future, and they simply waited to die. Yet they were only 11 miles from fuel and food depot. Now, I don't normally say life sucks. But if ever there was a situation that you could say, or I might say, that sucks, that would be one of them. And the military have a term, embrace the suck, which means to deal with whatever's being thrown at you. And my thought is, rather than embrace the suck, which kind of basically means, encompass or hug it to you or embrace something. My thought is lean in to the suck. Rather, because leaning in implies shifting your body forward or toward someone or something, which has to do like lean in the wind. And so the title of this message is Lean In, and it's about the 11 steps that you and I can take to create more hope in our lives, especially for someone who is feeling hopeless. And that doesn't have to be hard. They're actually quite easy. So I'd like to share a Facebook posting for just a few moments from Renee Lawbeck. And she posted these thoughts. "Sometimes I just want it to stop. Talk of COVID, protests, looting, brutality. I lose my way and become convinced that this new normal is real life. But then I meet an 87-year-old who talks of living through polio, diphtheria, Vietnam protests, and yet is still enchanted with life. He seemed surprised when I said that 2020 must have been especially difficult for him. No, he said slowly, looking me straight in the eyes. I learned a long time ago not to see the world through the printed headlines. I see the world through the people around me. I see the world with the realization that we love big. Therefore, I choose to write my own headlines. Husband loves wife today. Family chooses to drop everything to go to grandma's bedside. He patted my hand. Old man makes new friend. His words collide with my worries, freeing them from the tether I had been holding tight. They float away. I am left with a renewed spirit. My headline now reads, Woman overwhelmed by the spirit of kindness and the reminder that the capacity to love is never ending. It is my hope that by the end of this message, you can say and have a headline of your own that says, I am in control of creating hope for myself and becoming more hopeful. Like everyone else, when tough times happen, I can get discouraged or feel sad or feel betrayed or hurt. I wish I had a natural wit with jokes to be able to help us laugh at some of the trials and tribulations that happen to the people that not only listen to this message but are a part of my church. And I just don't. I don't. So I decided to look for something that encourages me and hopefully you too. The Old Testament character, Joseph, was favored by his father. He was sold into slavery by his brothers, rose up through the ranks, and become a top manager of the household. And then put into prison at which point he once again rose up to eventually become second only to Pharaoh, ruling Egypt, and being able to, in a time of great famine and feast, help Egypt profit, and at the same time rescue his own brothers and their families who had sold him into slavery. All this because he believed in the hope of the promise of God to take his people out of Egypt into the land of Canaan, the land of milk and honey. Consider this, the characters that are in those stories represent parts or aspects of our own being, you and me, traits that we can call on and we can bring them forth under circumstances that are needed, especially if we're aware of these stories. Because historically, they're not as important as what they mean right now to us. And what they mean right now to us is symbolic. And so, following the line of thought that says that there is a Joseph in you and me, and that all of the things he goes through, there is a purpose for it, and there's a reason why we would hear this story. Let's look at what Joseph can symbolize and what he might represent within our own lives and the traits that are important for us. Because Joseph is a man of substance and integrity and one who hopes and looks to the future. He's best known for being clothed with a coat of many colors, a dreamer and an interpreter of dreams. The phenomenal is his field of action. He is best known for imagination. That is his trait. Being able to envision a future, being able to focus on images or concepts of external objects or something that is not present to the senses at this moment. But imagination enables you and me to scrutinize our past and construct hypothetical situations or future scenarios that have not yet existed but could. And Egypt is a Greek word translated from the Hebrew Mizraim, which stands for trials and tribulations and misery and suffering. And it symbolizes that subconscious mind where we're really asleep, or the material world, if you will, how we just go about our daily stuff. And everything is just so routine, and we just sort of deadened to everything that's going on around us. It is in that place of consciousness, the place of Egypt, that place in which you and I are basically deadened to life and the fullness of it, because of the trials, because of the tribulations, that we are actually find the grain or substance that nurtures our physical bodies. Because obviously it is the material world where we go and produce and create. But Pharaoh and Joseph rule there together. Pharaoh can be seen as the conservator of the life force within our body, but welcoming and able to see the possibility for a new level of being by bringing in Joseph, the one who has an imagination to see a better future and to interpret that future and make it happen, make it real. And so, in essence, this story symbolizes the importance of seeing the enduring process and the promises of a greater good, and then being able to use our minds to plan and create and be resourceful while enduring tough times. So when the author of Hebrews in the New Testament is lauding all the heroes of faith, when he gets to Joseph, he isn't lauding him for his interpretive dream skills or his administrative skills or all of his accomplishments or forgiving his brothers. No, the one thing that he lauds him for is that in the end, Joseph instructs the sons of Israel to take his bones out of Egypt. And in that is the symbolic representation for you and I that truth stands eternal within the spiritual life. That is what that symbolizes, bones being taken out of Egypt. And so it's important that that abiding presence of truth that is real be sought, be found in the spiritual life. And that's the value of knowing that. So how do you and I or others get hope when there is none? I come back to those 11 steps that you and I can take every day. 11 steps that will help us survive and maybe even thrive. So I share them now with you. The first step, be creative. Focus on things that will empower you. By all means, curtail your intake of the news. Look beyond the facade that's around you. 2, practice prayer and meditation, even for just 5 minutes a day. You don't have to believe in a specific deity for that to work. Just light a candle and sit and let it heal and nurture you, because it will. It's the time of reflecting, getting in touch with your own soul. It's incredibly connecting to us. And possibly will even connect to that which is greater. 3, develop your coping skills, like adaptability or making the most of self-reflection. And use your uncertainty as a tool for possibility. If you don't know, or if you're not thinking it's possible, doesn't mean it can't. Use that uncertainty as a tool. 4, focus on the positive. Look, proactively seek out hope. 5, reflect on your past successes. Connect the dots of your life. No more 0 days. List your successes and strengths and resources, and give yourself some credit and believe in yourself to be able to accomplish your goals. 6, find humor. Do something fun. 7, have a social support. Surround yourself with positive people. 8, be kind. Express love. Hugs, notes, kindness, acts. Show love to someone who may be feeling hopeless around you and you notice them. Tell them, yeah, that sucks. You're right. But lean into the suck. You're not alone. I will walk with you, or I will take you shopping, or I will help you. We'll get a bite to eat and sit and talk. Number 9, don't hide. Build relationships of care and compassion. It will ultimately transform your lives and the life of others. 10, volunteer. Make a positive contribution. Stretch yourself. Reach out a little bit. Mix it up. Do something that has meaning for you. 11, have trust in yourself and a greater good. Set your own standards and be true to the values in your choices. What if today was the last day of your life? If you can take the time to simply ask that question when you're experiencing some of those petty annoyances, they're so easy to let go of. And you and I are able to see a better future whenever we're not hanging on to fear or apathy or resignation. Live it in your words and actions. So President Obama was once asked, have you ever read Reinhold Niebuhr? Obama's tone changed as he answered, I love him. He's one of my favorite philosophers. And he was then asked, what do you take away from him? Obama paused. His response, I take away the compelling idea that there's serious evil in the world and hardship and pain. And we should be humble and modest in our belief that we can eliminate those things. But we shouldn't use that as an excuse for cynicism and inaction. I take away the sense that we have to make these efforts knowing they are hard and not swinging from naive idealism to bitter realism. Ever been there? I have. Don't want to go there again. To tell you the truth, I don't really agree when I hear folks say, God let this evil, whatever, happen. Or let our hardships happen to us as part of some divine plan. What I do believe is that you and I can lean into hope. We can reach in and find even the tiniest amount of faith. There are many ups and downs in life, to say the least. And oftentimes our own doubts and disbelief sway us away from our own faith. There's a thing called a crisis of faith, and it can happen to us. Sometimes it happens when we lose that sense of whatever it was that we were going for, we were driven by, or whenever we begin to question or examine our values, or that we are even valued. Do you wonder if maybe Joseph ever experienced a crisis of faith? I have, but I'm pretty certain that what he did experience one. How could he not? Sold into slavery, put into prison. Oh my gosh, running a country? How could he not have a crisis of faith? But what I recognize is that he chose to lean into God. Sometimes we need to remember that all of our material wealth, all of our possessions, our successes, our achievements will one day fade away. They will mean nothing. And I'm wondering if maybe you can envision a life for yourself, for something that endures. The love, the joy that you create and bring into the life of yourself and others. It endures. Maybe we need to ask ourselves questions like, have I left something that endures? Have I touched someone's life? Have I helped my brother or sister today? Have I left a legacy of love? The hopeless times are good times for you and I to check our thoughts, to analyze our feelings. Shocking as it may seem, the God of our ancestors and the faith of our ancestors is no longer adequate. The difficulties and the things that we are challenged with in this world today call for a larger concept of God. And it's important for you and I to resolve the hang-up about God and the devil. Because the truth is, the evil is simply that which causes suffering, and it's only caused by people like you and I. There is no separate power. It only has the power you and I give it. Evil doesn't have some force. In the Bible, it's mentioned with a name, and it means adversary. It means liar in wait. It's that aspect of being asleep or dead to the world that can take over our world and our lives. Have you ever wondered about how it is that God would even be in a struggle or a battle, a life and death struggle at that, with the forces of darkness and evil? God created all of this. And there was many years ago that I believed in that, what I consider a very pale concept of the power of God. However, today, I know and I believe that there is nothing equal in power, nothing that God struggles or battles against. Because a belief in anything of that nature is destined to leave you and I lacking in our own power and vitality. Choosing to not take responsibility for stuff that occurs or our own mishaps and errors in thinking and expression. You can choose to have your bones taken out of Egypt. You can really lean into the oneness with hope and faith, because establishing that sense of leaning into having hope, building on faith, is to break out, to have your bones taken out of Canaan, out of Egypt into Canaan. And there is an increase in your vitality and substance. Every night you and I go to bed, never knowing if we're going to wake in the morning. In that essence, we are already in hoping. We live in hope in so many ways, and we don't even realize it. And when you feel that you're hopeless, take these thoughts into your heart and hold them. From Nikki Banyas. If you carry one thing throughout your entire life, let it be hope. Let it be hope that better things are always ahead. Let it be hope that you can get through even the toughest of times. Let it be hope that you are stronger than any challenge that comes your way. Let it be hope that you are exactly where you are meant to be, right now, and that you are on the path to where you are meant to be. Because during these times, hope will be the very thing that carries you through. The lesson that you and I can learn from Joseph is surprisingly simple. Lean in to God. Lean into the suck. Lean into God. There's only one presence and one power, God, good, omnipotent. And wherever I am, wherever you are, God is. God bless you. And thank you for being with me today.